people, overwhelmingly in positions of power, but not always, shift from a human form into a reptilian form and back again. People immediately and understandably go through this thought process. The world is solid, the world is physical, and therefore it's impossible to shift from a solid form to a solid form and back again. Hey, I agree. Of course it is. But that's not what's happening. The only place that this physical world, so-called solid world, and of course it's not solid, as quantum physics has shown. They say that this world is made of atoms, but atoms have no solidity. They're empty. They're just packets of energy. And there's this bewilderment in science as to how can a physical solid world be made up of atoms that have no solidity? Answer, it isn't. It's an illusion. It's just part of the decoding process of the brain that they're picking up. And so what the prime reality is a vibrational construct. I'll give you an example of what I mean. There was a book called The Holographic Universe written by a guy called Michael Talbot. And he tells a story in there, and it is a holographic universe. That's what the virtual reality universe is constructed as, holograms, which are what? Apparently three-dimensional forms, but actually have no solidity, even though they appear to have when you look at them. And he told the story in there of his father who had a party and had a stage hypnotist along to do party tricks, and he had this guy called Tom sitting in a chair, and as he was finishing his little tricks with him, and like getting him to eat a potato but think it was an apple. How do you do that? What you do as the hypnotist is you program the brain to decode the electrical signals coming from the taste senses into a taste of an apple instead of, as it normally would, the taste of a potato. So the taste of the potato rather, leaves the taste senses as an electrical signal, goes to the brain, and the brain, because it's been programmed, just like a computer where it can be programmed to read software in certain ways, it now reads that not as a potato, but as an apple. That's how it's done. That's how all this trickery is done. And so what they did with this Tom guy was put him in a chair, and then as the thing was coming to an end, the hypnotist said to him, when I bring you back to a waking state, you're not going to be able to see your daughter in the room. At which point the hypnotist put the daughter right in front of her father. So he's sitting down, he's looking into her belly. He brings him apparently to a waking state, and he says, "Can you see your daughter, Tom?" Tom looks around, looking in her belly, but he looks around, he says, "No, she's not here." The hypnotist goes behind the daughter and puts his hand in the small of her back. And says, "Tom, I'm holding something. What am I holding?" And Tom looked bewildered because it was obvious to him. It's right in front of him. He says, "A watch." He says, "There's an inscription on the watch. Can you read it?" He peered forward. He read the inscription. Between him and the watch was his daughter.
Wow.
Now, this would be perceived to be impossible, but it's not for this reason. His daughter's prime state, like your prime state and my prime state, and the whole reality's prime state, is a vibrational construct, energy. And what the brain does is read that energy into a holographic construct that only exists in the brain, in the same way that a computer reads a software disk and puts onto the screen as graphics, pictures, colors, what is on the screen, just information. You pick up a computer disk, you can't see any colors or graphics or words. It's all encoded information, and you put it in the computer. The computer reads that and reads it into what you see on the screen. Same with the television. It's reading vibrational and electrical information into pictures and moving pictures on the screen. That's what the brain's doing in a far, far more sophisticated way. So the reason I say all this in relation to shape-shifting is, what is shape-shifting? Shape-shifting is the brain reading an energetic field. An energetic field, a fluid energetic field, not a solid body. There are no solid bodies. And it reads an energetic field that is carries the human encoding, and it sees a human body. And if that energetic field shifts, not from solid to solid, just shifts energetically, the brain starts reading new information. which is the encoded reptilian information. And then if the human energy field shifts back, it starts reading that information. And in the perception in the brain, the perception is of seeing someone go from human to reptilian to human again. It's not, shape-shifting is not solid to solid. It's energetic field being read to another energetic field being read. That's what it is. And it's the shape-shifting, the only place shape-shifting takes place, quote, physically, is in the decoding system in the brain. So once you start to understand this, and of course journalists don't understand this, they think, he's saying people change from humans to reptilians, he's mad. Just as people once said, he's saying the Earth's round, everyone knows it's flat, and all this stuff, you know. And so understanding reality and how it works starts to explain so many so-called mysteries, so much of the so-called paranormal, in ways that are perfectly straightforward and logical, but only if you have enough information to have that perception. For instance, when they said the Earth was round, people's level of knowledge was not to include, or did not include, the law of gravity. So immediately they said, well, people would fall off the bottom. That's ridiculous. How can that be? But once you introduce the law of gravity, suddenly you realize how the world can be a sphere without people falling off the bottom. And if you therefore suppress information about the nature of reality, which is what this network of families has done for hundreds of years and more, then you're putting humanity into such a low level of understanding of reality that they write off paranormal things and shape-shifting and many other things as impossible, not because they are impossible, but because the level of knowledge they have of reality and possibility and potential makes them appear to be impossible. And that's how they entrap people in the prisons of the mind and the little boxes.
Very well said. It's all about waking up, people. David, you said you were working on another book. What's that book?
It's a book going deep, deep, deep into reality, what it is, how we interact with it, and crucially, how we can turn the key to turn this prison into the paradise it can be, and I'm sure ultimately will be.
And when can people get that book? When will it be available?
Well, I'm in the process of writing it, and next year sometime.
So from prison to paradise.
Year, I hope.
Prison to Paradise.
Again?
Prison to Paradise.
Yeah, well, that's not the name of the book, but that's the theme of it.
Yeah, great. David will be in Melbourne on April the 11th, which is the Easter weekend at the Melbourne Convention Centre. Truth Movement Australia is bringing him here. It's about a 6-7 hour all-day thing, I would imagine, is it, David?
Yes, it is. I do it in 3 chunks, and there's about 1,000 illustrations, and it's so long because I'm connecting dots. I don't, stick on one subject for 7 hours. There's an enormous amount of dots, and the longer it goes on and the dots connect, the picture starts to become clear, and it's a very different one to the one the authorities want you to see. I
can't emphasise that enough. That's what I was saying earlier in our chat, that by the end of it, you actually sit there in a little bit of a shock, and you go, wow. When you have it presented like that, all the dots really do come together and you see a completely different picture. You see different programming, and it's quite an amazing thing to be a part of. So get along and see David at the Melbourne Convention Centre, April the 11th. Truth Movement Australia is bringing him here. All the information about where to get your tickets, and there are over 1,200 already sold, is available off Ghost Radio's webpage. David's website is also there. You can go on the forums, you can purchase his books, you can see where else he's going to be around the world because he's constantly travelling. Get along and see him. I can't begin to tell you the huge pleasure I've had from being able to chat with you tonight, David. I've wanted to for a very long time.
It's been a pleasure, Leah. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Okay, that's Underworld for this week. Thank you so much for joining us. Stay safe and blessings to you all.
You've been listening to Australia's own Underworld show with host Leah Ramses. The Underworld show is produced in Perth, Western Australia by iProdigy Communications exclusively for Ghost Radio Australia and the Ghost Radio Network. Tune in every Sunday at 8 p.m. Perth time to hear fascinating guests and topics such as the one you just listened to. For more information on upcoming guests, events, and breaking news, visit www.underworldshow.com or www.ghostradio.com.au.